Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good whatever you've got, because we are bringing you some Link to the Past Randomizer Tournament Group AE action between Illus and shkoople, the number 2 and number 3 seeds out of this group. This is going to be the first game between them after they agreed to a re-race, and their actual first game was marred by a few technical issues, so 0-0, completely fresh slate for these guys, and they're looking to take 2 out of 3, go play against Gamashu and or Breve on the other side of their group. Calling this match, I am Reg. I am joined by Ninjimbro. So, Jimbro, what do we got?
All right, so this tournament, the format is hard standard. So if you're familiar at all with Link to the Past Randomizer, standard, of course, you have to go through Hyrule Castle, save Zelda, get her to the Sanctuary. The uncle is guaranteed to give you a weapon, either the bow, the hammer, the fire rod, the red cane, the blue cane, a sword. And from there, you just finish the escape like normal. Oh, forgot about bombs also. You can get 10 bombs. But this is going to be hard difficulty, so you're going to see a few things different compared to a normal seed. You'll never see any mail upgrades. They will be in green mail the entire run. We won't see any sword after tempered, so gold sword is no longer in the item pool. We will not see mirror shield. And we will not see silver arrows, and we also will not see any hearts beyond the 14th. Some people say that it's basically a no major glitches loadout by the end of the game. So yeah, that's what we're going to see. Anything that would normally be one of those aforementioned items would just be replaced by a green 20 ruby pickup. And it looks like the runners are off.
Uncle Tex is one of my favorite parts of Standard. And Uncle's taking responsibility for this seed, so if anything bad happens, we can blame it on him.
Yeah, always blame Uncle. Alright, we got a map check right away. Looks like we have a 5-6 crystal at Tower of Hera, and we have a blue pendant at Desert Palace.
Yep, and then combine it with a bog standard regular crystal at Eastern, and that's our light world. 1 out of 3 pendants, not too bad. I know a lot of people like seeing 0 there because the Dark World dungeons tend to be a bit longer and more complex, but
yep,
you don't get to choose that.
Oh, we got a bow start. Always nice.
Yep. Bow is definitely really nice. It kills the ball and chain guard faster than a sword, and it kills those green guards pretty effectively too.
Oh, and a glove right off the bat as well. So yeah, with the early bow, wouldn't be surprised if we see an early Eastern Palace check.
Yeah, that's definitely something that a lot of people like to do. Logic is a little different than the practical reality of the situation, but
right.
Bow is all you need to get all the items out of Eastern.
Yep. I've seen some interesting races lately where with a bow start, I've seen some runners even do Eastern before going to Kakariko Village. Which, really interesting routing to see that.
Yep, I am actually a big fan of routes that don't immediately go straight to Kakariko. A lot of people will say they're not optimal, and with the density in Kakariko, it's hard to argue with that, but it's still always exciting.
Mm-hmm.
It's also worth noting that I think both of these runners killed a green guard with the bow in the secret passage tunnel. They got a small magic drop off of that. So we've got a bomb in this prize pack with the guards, though it is fairly deep.
Surprising that they're not going for any more green guard kills here, knowing that information.
Might see more of them on the way out.
Yeah.
Or might see them kill snakes, like especially that one room in the sewers that has a ton of snakes, because that's a prize pack.
Yep.
Of course, could also just see them also try to kill rats and hope that that's the same, or not the same prize pack, but maybe like just the prize pack that's nothing but bombs. But that's kind of a gamble here when we...
Yeah. Oh, well, they find bombs in Zelda's chest anyway.
Yeah, that solves that. I don't think it's really worth spending all the arrows to try to farm out just one bomb at the 6th item in the prize pack at this point. I don't know which item Illus is on, but I know Shkoople's last drop was a heart, which means he's only on the 3rd.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a couple snakes get shot that are in the way, but we probably won't see them farming them at all. I'm a fan of shooting a couple arrows and seeing if you can get an extra bomb or two.
Yeah, it's just you've got bombs already in hand, and at this point, we know that there's no need for it, and it is quite deep in this particular prize pack. Looks like Shkoople's going for it, though.
Nice little arrow refund.
His next drop will be a bomb.
And there it is.
That means he'll have 3 bombs to take into Kakariko if he wants to, which 4 is generally the ideal because that guarantees you can get all the items, but 3 is just fine if you scout the race game first and it turns out to be nothing, and that doesn't even get into the fact that you're likely to find some more bombs there.
Yeah, it's pretty... I feel like it's pretty rare to get out of Kakariko with not finding a single bomb in the chest, but I mean, it does happen from time to time.
Yeah, if it does happen, I feel like probably find enough cash to just buy a 10 stack and not worry about it, but
absolutely.
Occasionally you do get the super dry seeds.
Alright, the most difficult boss in the game, the Key Rat.
Very nice fight from Shkoople there. Illus not doing too bad with it either.
Yeah, he got that one rat that got in the way of his first shot, but handled the Key Rat excellently afterwards.
And those bombs.
And the boots!
Nice. I'm surprised both runners are going down here instead of going up and just bonking the north exit.
It's probably a lot of muscle memory right there. You really don't think about that too frequently unless you're planning way ahead to do it. Like, I know I personally, like, it's so easy to just get stuck into a habit.
Yeah, that's true. Especially when you're getting the boots right there and you're already moving your fingers a step ahead.
Yep.
But we've got boots, we've got a lot of bombs. Probably going to check Bonk Rocks right here. I would kind of be surprised if either runner neglected to do that.
Yeah. I think the only time you don't check it is if you just, for some reason, forget.
Yeah, that sounds about right to me. I kind of expect them both to detour up to Lumberjack here since we already have the boots as well. Like, that's the one thing I know a lot of people put off that check until they have.
Right. Okay, it looks like Shkoople is making that play. Illus as well, just taking a slightly different route. Neither runner going for the tree pool.
Yeah, they can get a pull in the Lost Woods now if they want to, but it does deprive them of the opportunity to check in on 2 tiers of that. Not that they need it very much with their bomb counts.
Right. Oh, a nice thing would be if you found, like, the red rupee. But even then, probably not worth the time. And it looks like Lumberjack just had a blue rupee.
Yep, so nothing either of these guys are going to be concerned about killing Aghanim for.
And Illus taking the save and quit.
Wonder if he's going to take those boots straight over to Eastern Palace from here and just wanted the Bonk Rocks Lumberjack check and the woods was right there.
That looks exactly like what we're seeing. So we already got some route divergence. Looks like he's going to check the Hylia Island item real quick. Just see some bombs.
Oh, this is interesting. would have been more interesting if it had gone as planned instead of him having to use extra bombs here.
Oof. Looks like he's no longer going with that play. Shkoople, meanwhile, in Blind's hideout.
Nothing doing in those 4 chests on Shkoople's side. I do kind of wonder, Illus was going for a splash deletion there to get some fake flippers into the lake, and was he just going to Hobo, or I don't know what he was doing with that, but
Yeah, Hobo really being the only thing you can check there, because he wouldn't have been able to do the Waterfall Fairy.
Yeah, no Moon Pearl means you can't do that without getting a Water Walk somehow else, which Boots does allow for, but not if you're doing it like that.
And I'm going to find a first sword on Shkoople's side in the well, so Illus is going to be missing out on that for a little bit. But he'll definitely find his way over there, sooner rather than later.
Yeah, and with a bow in hand, the only thing the sword really helps with in Eastern Palace is some of the dark room navigation towards the end of the dungeon, but I think Illus will show that he's plenty capable of that without it if he's making this play now.
Shkoople finding a bunch of money.
Illus has found both the map and the compass already, so everything else is going to be either big key or items.
Nope, we unfortunately missed what was in the tavern.
Yeah, it wasn't the sword.
It was not a sword.
I don't think it was rupees, bombs, or arrows either. His counts look the same as they did before to me. Just junk on the race game.
Blue boomerang here. The Eastern big chest. Curious if Shkoople... Okay, he's making the Eastern play as well.
Yeah, looks like he's going to check the Hylia Island item as well. No real reason not to. It's pretty quick to just scout it out if you're on your way over to Eastern. Yeah.
Looks like Shkoop was going to do Sarashula first.
Yeah, I like this. I would like it less if Eastern were the green pendant, but just on the off chance you find like a fire rod here. Or a
Master Sword. Doesn't really change Eastern too terribly much.
Illus took too much damage. He can't damage boost through the anti-fairies on that pod anymore, so he's having to kill this room as intended, unfortunately. Also, chat's saying that Shkoople got a hammer in the tavern, it looks like.
Yep. So we are a Moon Pearl away from Dark World access.
Yeah. Considering that, and considering we don't have a mirror, Eastern play looking pretty good right now. South Shore is numerically more likely to have it, but Eastern will get you that crystal too. Okay, Illus killed the eye. Okay, there's the key.
Okay.
He should be good, yep.
Yep, and he makes it out of that room.
Yeah, I'd say his arrow count was a little concerning, but there are so many arrows under pots in the back of Eastern that it's really not. You can probably get a full 30 if you want to.
I wouldn't be surprised to see him do that, especially since he still doesn't have any other type of weapon. Now, little does he know, he'll be getting a sword very soon.
Yeah, those are in the fun prize pack. Dropping 8 bombs, 10 arrows, fairies, all that good stuff. Not that Illus needs any of it right now.
Looks pretty well set up for the quick kill here.
Yep, there it is.
So,
Or nothing.
Not a whole lot in Eastern.
I mean, boomerang, 2 pieces of heart. Crystal's really the only thing of interest. Obviously, no real way of knowing that coming into the dungeon, and it was a crystal that he could do, so solid idea to come clear it out regardless. But he's going to get his sword out of the back of this Astrala's hut now, and we'll see probably the Kakariko for him since he still hasn't been there.
Yeah, I think we have to get a sword. I wouldn't be surprised to see a South Shore play first. Although Eastern is the more item dense.
Yeah, I would prefer to see South Shore from him, and it does look like that's where he's going, unless he wants to go south to north. Because at this point, you've committed to putting off Kakariko, presumably looking for bottle, flute, or both before you go.
Mm-hmm.
So South Shore is dense enough that you may as well do it first and commit to that play.
Yeah, and being able to get the water walk to do the waterfall.
I think doing Mini Moldorm Cave first here signals to me that he's probably going to go Dam and then over to Agina in the desert. Although that 300 might change his mind.
Oh, and there's the Moon Pearl. Yeah, so we could see Illus go over to Ice Rod Cave, farm some rupees under the rock, and then do the water walk. But no, it does look like he's going to do the Dam into Agina check.
Yeah, I was wondering if not having the cash for Zora was the driving factor in that decision, but if it was, I think he would have gone like you described and farmed the rupees at Ice Rod Cave with that 300 in hand. Collectively, we've got Dark World access between these two runners. Just shkoople needs to get to Mini Moldorm Cave, Illus needs to get to Kak.
Shkoople not quite getting the quick kill.
Almost recovered it, but not quite.
Interesting that Illus didn't go check Desert Ledge just for the information before coming into Agina.
Yeah, it doesn't take that long to do, especially with boots, but it is still something that takes a little bit of time, and that may have been his thinking there.
Yep. Shkoople heading south as well. Going to find his Moon Pearl very shortly. Looks like going to make the dam first place, so we may see the water walk set up on Shkoople's side.
Yeah, especially since he will be able to definitely afford whatever Zora is selling once he's through the Mini Moldorm Cave. It's just a matter of will he continue that play or will he save and quit out to the Dark World once he gets that Moon Pearl. Oh, wow.
Shkoople is heading straight to Agina, yep.
Yeah, this interests me. I mean, he's going to be able to just save and quit here and then go straight Mini Moldorm Cave and then from there to basically wherever he wants.
And we see the hook shot on Desert Ledge.
Yeah, that's really good info to have in Shkoople's back pocket that Illus is not going to have probably until he gets the flute.
Yeah.
Unless the book funnels him into desert early. But that's a big reason to just rush desert as soon as Shkoople gets access to it.
Yep. Alright, Shkoople heading down to Mini Moldorm Cave now.
And the burning question is, what is he going to do afterwards? For Illus, it's going to be pretty clear-cut. Once he's done with these checks in the well and over in Blind's hideout, he should be on to the portal just north of the village, and using that for maybe front of Skull Woods, Village of Outcast area checks. Could save and quit the Hype Cave, but I don't really see that when he's already here.
Right. Now the question is whether or not Shkoople bothers with Ice Rod Cave right now, or if he takes that Moon Pearl and just saves and quit right away. Looks like he's leaving, so we'll probably want to see Ice Rod Cave here, along with the Water Walk, which, you know, I like the play. No reason to rush Dark World as soon as you get that Moon Pearl when you're already right here.
Yeah, you can get a pretty quick, what is this, 5 checks coming up here?
Yep.
I don't know how his splash deletion's going to go, considering we've already seen Illus fail it once, and Shkoople has killed Armos since then, but maybe he knows something I don't if there is something on that ledge. That is the water walk setup though, so gonna be seeing him jump down here on this next screen, and then I think he's gonna take this to Hobo and then swim to Zora.
Okay, we got a map check. Looks like Turtle Rock is a pendant. Ice Palace is the green pendant.
And I saw Swamp as the other 5/6 crystal.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't have a chance to see that before he got away from the map.
Looks like no Hobo for Shkoople though. Straight to Zora's domain, straight to the 100 rupees in the waterfall.
And just a red rupee on Zora Ledge.
So no need to worry about the Ancil deletion, splash delete there. And probably for the best, because he doesn't have that many arrows.
And Zora just taking 480 rupees.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that there was nothing at all there, but did tear through those checks pretty quickly with the boots and the water walking, so the only way that Illus really gains time on that is that if he just A, never goes there at all, or B, finds the mirror and combines it with catfish checks.
Illus found a small key, but opted to still take the drop down to get to this part of Skull Woods. Okay, we are seeing a Hype Cave play here by Shkoople.
Yeah, unlike Illus having already been in Kakariko when he got his Dark World access, I do think this makes sense as a starting point for Shkoople, especially since he can head over to Palace of Darkness now if he wants to.
Oh, and the mirror and Tempered Sword out of Hype Cave.
It's not quite a fire source, but that's still a fairly compelling reason to want to go up to Palace of Darkness.
And looks like that's exactly what Shkoople was going to do here.
Yeah, probably the pyramid first, no? Maybe afterwards.
And it looks like both items in Skull Woods are locked behind the fire rod.
Yeah, that's just really unfortunate. Like, a lot of people are really big fans of checking the front of Skull Woods even without the fire rod. And more often than not, there is at least one item to be found there, but sometimes this happens.
All right, we see Shkoople entering pod while Illus is in Village of Outcasts and finds the mitts and C-shaped house.
Yep. Not quite in the vanilla dungeon, but right next door, close enough.
And finding the cape.
That would be a fair bit more exciting if he didn't already check Bumper Ledge and know it was nothing, but
Yeah.
could still take it to like Spike Cave later if we didn't already have the blue cane. I think pod we've seen keys in both chest Shkoople's checks so far.
Yep.
Remember, 4 keys in the front 6 chests of this dungeon, so or at minimum 4 keys.
Right.
Guaranteed 2 more.
There's the shovel. So that's one of the 2 possible non-small keys. And a green 20. So we know these next 2 chests are going to be keys.
And then 3 more items to be found between the back and the boss. And Illus actually found our 4th sword this seed. So he's going to get a green 20 out of Hype Cave when he gets up there.
Yep. So his hype cave's not going to be quite as hype.
But still going to get a mirror out of there. And if he comes across Flippers first, that will let him ride into Swamp Palace if he wants. Of course, he doesn't know about that hook shot on the desert ledge.
Right.
But it's still there for him. Both these guys are on their way to the backs of their respective dungeons. I think Shkoople's got a bit more to find here, probably. Although that bomb not doing him any favors, excuse me. Actually, yeah, since chat's pointing it out, Illus was super low on hearts in the front part of Thief's Town there. Found that the stun prize this seed is a single heart. Took advantage of that to get back to full health.
We find Ether in the attic there.
Decent chance that's needed, even with only 1 medallion dungeon.
Shkoople, noticing that he has 2 keys, knows that Harmless Hellway is guaranteed to be a small key.
So no need to go for it. Can just get the goods out of the dark maze here. For whatever value of goods there are.
He's running a dangerously low on health in the dark maze, which is never a good feeling. Using that Cane of Burna to kind of navigate the room a little bit.
Pretty much out of magic now, though. There's no fireballs flying around though, so he is fine. Gonna just take the Death Warp out of here and probably go see Helmasaur.
Yeah, can't blame him for taking the Death Warp.
Yeah, it's slower than mirroring, but it's a free health refill, so.
Yeah. And good blind fight by Illus, just getting a piece of heart for his trouble.
Yep. Only that Ether Medallion of real worth inside the dungeon, and that's pretty questionable worth until we see what opens up Mire. But still a crystal, and still more than Eastern.
And we're going to see a hammer peg check.
Boots makes this really nice. And I'm expecting he'll do the normal dig game, pick up the smith, loop around the hype cave, save and quit route from here.
Possibly. I wouldn't be surprised if he skips the smith to just complete this route, this loop, and head straight over to pod. I think either play is one we could end up seeing here with like pretty much equal chance.
Yeah, and it would be very reasonable to do that as well, since pod is crystal, even though the only thing we've seen in it on shkoople's side is the shovel. And if he does take that route, he will be rewarded by that mirror and hype cave, making the smith chain as a whole pretty straightforward. And we do see shkoople is through the dark turtles, the scariest room here, and just has to get through a couple more turtles to get to the boss. Now the scary thing here is that even though he's got a tempered sword, he is on 4 hearts. He did earn speed here though, which gives his hammer super range.
It can still be a scary fight. He does have to be careful. Uh-oh.
That's definitely scary. Illus pulled the powder and the flippers back to back though while we were looking at shkoople get in there. And that powder actually just makes his... yeah, my word, the smith chain that much more appealing once he gets the mirror here.
shkoople did finish pod. We don't know what we got from Helmisar.
Got a crystal. What else matters? We do have our tracker Relkin in chat saying that it was nothing, so take his word for that, and still a crystal.
Okay, we are seeing shkoople head to Village of Outcasts.
And he has the advantage here of having the mirror from the start to make his smith chain routing smoother. Illus will go back with that because he is taking the pod route you described, and he's actually getting to loop in Hobo here thanks to that flippers plus mirror find. Hobo's nothing, and shkoople is not going to spend time in the front of Skull Woods here. Very good for him, since we know both items are in the back.
Yeah. So I'm wondering what his thought process behind that there is. I can say like my personal thought process is usually if it's a crystal, I'll wait till I have Fire Rod. If it's a pendant, I'm usually more likely to just do the front play.
Yeah, that makes sense. And so if you find both items in the front, that means there's pretty much no chance you've got to go back. I think in shkoople's case here, the thinking may be he's already done Hype Cave, so he's not interested in doing the full southern loop here. So he may be eyeing, especially with the mirror in hand, the North Dark World checks, Bumper Ledge over to Graveyard Ledge, maybe even to Catfish when he's done in the village.
Yeah. Of course, it all depends. I think a lot of it's going to depend on what the smith chain ends up giving us.
Yeah, because I could see something like the flute getting put on that, and suddenly the seed just accelerates a bit since we know there's a hook shot on the desert ledge, and flute gives us access to both desert and mire right now.
Also curious to see, while it's not in logic currently, there are a lot of checks that could come out of a sequence broken Death Mountain play.
Yeah, We can get everything there right now except the last 3 checks in Hookshot Cave and whatever is in Turtle Rock.
And it's very possible that we could see the flute up there with the where the lamp could just be on Smith Chain, could be at Catfish. So I actually wouldn't be surprised for us to see lamp as our next progression item.
Yeah, lamp leading up to the mountain would definitely open up a lot of that, and a lot of items to pull: a flute, a medallion, a book, a cane, a fire rod, whatever we've got. I do think that Shkoople in particular will probably be less inclined to sequence break it, knowing that he will not find the hook shot up there, and that's the last thing he needs to fully clear
Right.
the non-dungeon part of the mountain. But I do think that it's a very reasonable play at this point for both of these runners once they finish the stuff they're currently doing.
We have Illus now heading to the back, while Shkoople is taking blind.
Yep, a couple rooms away here from showing off his blind fight, which will probably look very similar to Illus's.
So getting the blue cane out just as a precautionary.
Yeah, blue cane is a very fun way to fight blind since you just turn it on and walk around, assuming you've got either half magic or a potion to refill it. But it lags a bit, it's slower.
And Shkoople taking out blind there.
Yep, very well
Okay.
done with the 9 hits. And we'll see what's left for him. He's still got to get the myths out of the C-shaped house. I imagine that'll be his next check. And we'll see where he goes from there.
The Dodongos are cooperating a little bit better for Illus than they did for Shkoople.
Illus also has a couple more hearts than Shkoople did there, so a little more room to just tank things if he needed to, even though he didn't.
Shkoople picking up the Smith before doing Dig Game, which we know will be unfortunate for him because of the powder.
Yeah, I was going to say, with the mirror, that does make some sense, except I wasn't thinking you can't do Dig Game with the purple chest either.
Right.
So I think this really does signal to me that he intends to go north, or just save and quit with the chest. But is going to miss out on both the magic powder that he could have turned in right here, and the flippers, which don't really do much except get him into Swamp Palace, which he doesn't really want to go to right now.
We're seeing Illus head into the pod basement here.
Yep. Let's see if his turtles are as clean as Shkoople's were. No, I say see, but, you know.
Nice one. Using Ether. Very heads-up play there.
Killed all of them in one go. That's actually really surprising. Good awareness and just knowledge of that room in general to know that he had them all flipped there and not bother hunting them down.
And we see a heart container in Cave 45. Not surprised at all to see Shkoople pick that up. Doesn't take a lot of time. It's a full extra heart container. piece of heart, easy to skip. Heart, full heart, not as much.
Yep, and he's going to get his flippers here as well, although this does mean that he is well and truly isolated the digging game.
Yeah. He also does get to do the dig spot here.
Nothing good on it, unfortunately, but still, peace of mind not having to come back for that later. On Illus's side, has tied us up at 3 crystals apiece here. Pretty much on parity as far as actual progression found goes, but a couple checks behind on this Smith chain specifically.
Yeah. Okay, and nothing coming out of the purple chest. Curious to see where Shkoop was going to head next. Looking like possibly the, okay, never mind. I was going to say, looks like it could be the swamp dip, despite knowing the location of the hook shot.
Yeah, it looks like he's tracking the digging game instead. So, this does mean picking up the Smith when he did an error.
Yep.
Not a very big one, but could have optimized it a little bit.
And of course, like, it's a little different since we have that knowledge. And he doesn't quite have that knowledge, so really, like I like seeing the dig game first. I don't fault the play at all. Like if you think there's not a big chance that the dig game leads to anything, it's just the weird odds here that it happened to be something that he could have just cleanly routed in.
Yeah, like if there's a skip there that you could have committed to if you had found progression that wasn't the flippers, then I do agree with that. It just the way it turned out just did not play in his favor. Cost him more than a few seconds there. But actually, he's going back north. Looks like he might want to loop in those north overworld checks. Graveyard Ledge is there, King's Tomb's there.
Yep.
Powder is here. He hasn't seen Bumper Ledge yet either, and he has the cape, but we know that's nothing.
Yeah, so yeah, he does get a very good number of checks out of this.
So yeah, really not quite as bad of a loss doing the dig game in the order he did it in than I initially thought it was. So
And Powder leads to nothing.
yeah, it's still a safety item in your back pocket, especially for the end of the game, but feels a little bad to have it lead to nothing after backtracking for it like that.
Curious to see if Shkoople does hop into Skull Woods or not, though.
Yeah, he could take the entrance here, but no, he's not. And again, we know that skipping that in particular is going to save him a good chunk of time that Illus has given up by finding 0 items there.
So we'll probably see the Graveyard Ledge. Oh, nope, Shkoople is heading over.
Making a liar out of me, just wanting that Graveyard Ledge first on the off chance it was Fire Rod, I guess. So where is... Oh, did Illus grab the purple chest and just leave it behind since he's got no mirror checks here, I think?
Yeah.
Yeah, for people who don't know, we already saw it on Shkoople's side, but if you're in the Dark World, you can just leave the purple chest behind after picking it up, and you come up here, you mirror next to the lockpick guy, and he'll open it for you. Now, what next for Illus? Is this going to be swamped for him? No.
Looks like we're seeing pyramid and catfish on Illus's side.
Okay, definitely makes a lot more sense than going into Swamp does at this point without a hook shot. And it is new information that we've yet to see, so decent odds there's something there. He's got to be real careful, though, on 2 hearts against these Dark World enemies.
Going out of his way for the piece of heart. I wonder if he knew he was on 3 pieces of heart.
Maybe. That's pretty difficult to keep track of while actively racing, thinking about your route and so on, but if
especially
you knew that, then sorry.
Yeah, especially in this era of quick swap where you're very rarely going into your menu to see how many you have.
Yeah, between that and mashing through the file select screen after you save and quit, very few chances to see how many pieces of heart you have.
We do have King's Tomb here on shkoople's side, while we see the catfish on Illus' side. And there's the flute on catfish.
Illus getting very well rewarded for that.
Although shkoople won't be too far behind in finding that flute.
Yeah, because I think shkoople's basically out of checks that aren't sequence break up the mountain, go into swamp, or go into catfish. That's pretty much it for him.
Right, and with that knowledge of the hookshot location, very unlikely to see the swamp dip.
Yeah, and that leaves catfish and pyramid as the last logical locations for him. It's a very good chance to find progression, and we see that, yeah, he is going there. Of course, I wonder now, Illus doesn't know about the hook shot. Do you think he rushes the mountain area, or do you think he goes to Desert Mire anyways?
I think, personally, I would not be surprised to see the mountain play, because it's way more item dense. You don't have the red cane for Mire. You only have 1 medallion, so you're likely not going into Mire. Unless you feel like you need to gamble, which in Illus's case right now, I feel like he probably doesn't feel like he needs to make any big gambles. I think if Desert were a crystal, we'd be talking a completely different story here. But I wouldn't be surprised to see the mountain play.
Yeah, I think Cat's feeling the opposite, but I don't know. I'm not intimately familiar with Illus as a runner to know his habits, his routing habits, and his preferences, and so on.
Okay, we are seeing the Mire area play, so Illus is about to see his hook shot.
And he is going to be rewarded with not having to isolate Hookshot Cave when he does go to the mountain later.
So Illus a few seconds ahead of shkoople right now.
Saw Bombos to open up Mire. We don't have that. Even if we did have it, we're lacking in both fire and a red cane to clear that dungeon, so it's not a big deal. Oh, I guess he was just double-checking the medallion. I thought he was going to go to Checkerboard Cave first and figure that out, then come back, but no need. shkoople, on the other hand, is giving us Checkerboard Cave first.
And just a piece of heart. So Illus is doing the front of desert. Since you're here, you might as well. It's relatively quick 2 checks.
Yep. And not having fire doesn't matter for the front at all. So
Shkoople heading in as well.
good on Illus to think to go back to the big chest before going to the map chest there in the center as he was about to. Means he doesn't have to backtrack for this small key. I guess now at this point we're just missing Bombos, a Fire Rod, and a Cane of Samaria for Go mode, right? Since we know that Myron Medallion?
Yeah. And our second item is on Landmos.
It can't get to it, so no point in worrying about it now. But I do wonder if we'll just hit up Swamp, hit up the mountain, be in Go mode, with just nothing else to worry about here.
Now we know traditionally that chat really likes pedestal seeds, which is still possible that we have one here.
Yep. One of Bombos or Fire Rod could be on it, because you only need one of those to get into Ice Palace. Actually, Fire Rod can't be on it.
Yeah.
The rock, yeah.
Could only be Bombos, yeah.
Yep. And that's assuming Bombos doesn't open Turtle Rock. But we do see these guys were pretty well in sync leaving the desert area, but they are choosing the opposite locations here. So we'll know pretty quickly who's going to have the advantage and who shows correctly on these two plays.
And we find Mushroom from the old man. Just yet another fetch quest. Although with that flute, it's not very out of the way.
Yeah, really easy to flute to two, and it does mean that the only fetch quest we've really got on the table at this point is the bottle.
Oh, and we find both rods at Spectacle Rock.
That's always a good time. I love how Illus didn't even need to see more than just a couple pixels of white on the bottom of it that we saw to know what it was. Only made possible by the fact that the other one was on top of the rock.
Ooh, going for the bomb jump and not quite getting it.
Yeah, considered the save and quit, but without the hook shot, no, he has the hook shot, excuse me. So I don't know why he didn't take it, but he did choose not to take it. I guess he wants to do Hera first.
Yeah. I mean, here I think it's all kind of a matter of preference. I mean, you're basically, unless you find your go mode item, pretty much full clearing the mountain anyway, so you might as well do the crystal dungeon first.
Yeah, because Illus is still 2 items from go mode at this point. While it's really unlikely that both of them are in Hera, it is a 2-item dungeon.
Oh, there's Quake, not quite the medallion we're hoping for.
Thanks, game.
Okay, shkoople is skipping left side.
I have not been counting items on his side. I kind of would expect him to go back in, though. unless there just are no items there. And shkoople lost his diver down because he got bopped by that slime.
So it gets it the second time around.
Yeah, little baby shield for his trouble, too.
And there's the map, so we do know that there is an item on left side.
Meanwhile, Illus does get bailed out for his Hera pot, does not have to go for that big key in the basement just to get to the big chest. Got both items. Quake might open Turtle Rock, otherwise not at all useful this seed.
Yep. Although without that red cane, we aren't even going to see a Turtle Rock dip.
No, but we've still got
A
like
lot of
14
checks here.
yeah, 14 or 15 of them, I think. And all it takes is the cane showing up in one of them for Bombos to potentially be inside Turtle Rock.
Yeah, we have 15 item checks here.
Shkoople, I think one item left side swamp since Argus dropped a fire shield. We'll see if he goes back in. Ether to open Turtle Rock, so Quake not coming into play at all. Hera basically just empty as far as anybody actually cares. Had a crystal though.
Shkoople leaving Swamp Palace, so isolating that item. Don't really blame him.
Yeah, left side swamp really sucks, especially for just one item. That's probably not your go mode item. Two red items there in Super Bunny Cave on Illus's side, but neither was the funny shaped stick.
The wrong red items.
Yeah, I guess the lamp's also red and wouldn't necessarily be a wrong item here. I don't think Illus would really care to find it at this point, but it has logical implications. I guess, are we going to see Spiral Cave before Paradox here? Yes. Illus is just going to reclimb the mountain with Paradox and
Yep.
maybe take that Dark World portal if he finds Kane and not Bombos.
Yeah, it becomes an interesting question of, you still have Swamp. So do you head to Swamp and do that first, or if you find the cane, do you just go straight into Turtle Rock hoping to find Bombos there?
Yeah. Going into Turtle Rock at this point is what I would think of as a hero play for sure. Just a big gamble that you think you need to win the race. And I think you said it earlier, I don't think Illus is in a position where he should feel like he needs to make one of those.
Right. We're getting a question if there's any items left in Skull Woods. Actually, yes, there are 2 items in Skull Woods. That's a play that we kind of have neglected to think about.
Yeah, we couldn't get to them without that fire rod that shkoople just picked up, so... But yeah, I think on Illus's side, it does make a lot more sense to get those 2 Skull Woods items alongside the crystal there.
Oh yeah, for sure.
For the 5/6 and do Pyramid 3.
Ton of money in Paradox Cave.
I am a bit surprised he didn't go back to his Dark World portal there and use that for Spike Cave.
Yeah, true. Now we do see Shkoople taking that fire rod straight to Skull Woods.
Not even going up and finishing Hera. But for chat asking, aside from the fire rod inside Spectacle Rock, the mountain, the entire mountain, was completely junk, aside from maybe that 5-6 crystal.
Yeah, at this rate, I would not be surprised if there's an item at Pyramid Fairy. We do also have the potential that mushroom turn-in gives us something.
Yeah, that mushroom was on the old man that Shkoople just abandoned. It's not going to hurt him too much since he can just flute to the mountain after saving quit to Link's house, but that's still a fetch quest that he can't turn in until he does it.
Okay, we're about to see Mothula on Shkoople's side with Illus right behind.
Yeah, Illus needing to pause for a sec on lighting the torch so he didn't waste a fire rod shot on the Gibdo there.
Shkoople's going to have to be careful here, getting a little low on health.
Mothula not really playing nice around these spikes, but that's a moth kill for Shkoople as Illus drops in.
And there's our first bottle.
Yep. Good position to go just mirror and turn that in though with the sick kid. And Illus gets much better moth fight. Of course, there is an item under the bridge still to be found. That could be our Bombos Bedding, could be our Cane of Samaria. Could also be our lamp, our book, or just junk. Still plenty of junk left to be found in the world.
There's the Bombos. So we know we will not see Turtle Rock at all this seed now, and Pedestal is officially dead.
Yep, as soon as Shkoople finds that cane, he is in go mode. Illus now in the same boat.
Looks like Shkoople is going to turn in that bottle immediately.
Yeah, there's really no reason not to do this. It's the fastest check they've got available at this point. Now for Shkoople, I've got to imagine it's going to be the rest of the mountain. Yep. For Illus, maybe the mushroom before Swamp Palace, but otherwise it's going to be Swamp for him.
Yeah.
And unless the cane is left side Swamp and Shkoople left it behind, we know that this isn't the answer for either runner, so what does that leave? Moe Molus? Inside Locker itself?
Lamo, the Pyramid Fairy.
Also Ice Palace.
Ice Palace, yeah. So, still quite a number of locations.
Yeah, still a fair few, just not any locations that anybody wants to go to, like we see Illus picking up Ice Rod Cave about 45 minutes after Shkoople was there.
And getting, once again, the incorrect red item.
Also cleaning up this fetch quest before heading into Swamp Palace, just because on the off chance you find it, you get to go mode Swamp. That's really big. Saves a ton of time. Nice little insulting single rupee in exchange for the mushroom, though.
So Shkoople, interestingly, picking up the Quake medallion, even though he should even recognize that he doesn't need it. Now, granted, if I were in his shoes, I would also be picking it up because I wouldn't be thinking that far ahead.
Yeah, that's probably just a muscle memory thing.
Yep.
Besides, it's a nice little +1 on your collection rate at the end. And the goal is to get that as high as possible, right? That's clearly how you win races, not by being faster or anything. That's what, 5 crystals? No, that's 6 crystals down for Shkoople now.
Yep. So he's ahead in crystal count, but I still think Illus has a slight advantage because doing all these mountain checks is going to take a little bit of time for shkoople, but it is very, very close.
Yeah, I think it ultimately depends on whether Illus does left side of swamp, and if it does, whether it pays out. Because if he doesn't do it, then I think they'll finish up pretty close to the same time. I think shkoople may be slightly faster, just mountain checks are faster than swamp even without left side.
Right.
But if Illus does go left side, then that's going to be either slightly bigger disadvantage or massive advantage, however it turns out. And chat's also reminding me, Illus did skip Spike Cave. That is something shkoople could do, and that could also be it.
Yeah, I mean, at this rate, it really comes down to where that red cane is and who finds it first. That doesn't quite 100% determine the winner here, but it's pretty darn close at this point.
Yeah, unless it's something somewhat obscure at this point, like on the land molas, and both runners wind up getting to it around the same time. Whoever finds it first is gonna have an edge here, and the other person's gonna have to play super clean to make up the gap.
So we do see Illus skipping left side swamp. And with that, I doubt we will see Illus go back in for one item on left side.
Yeah, there's a non-zero chance of it, especially since skipping left side swamp when you're one item from go mode is a bit different from skipping it when you're 3 items away. But I would still be surprised to see him go back in at this point. Yeah, I think Illus poked Argus there, which is always unfortunate because that does very little damage.
Yeah.
But that's going to be Illus' 6th crystal. shkoople is headed over to Spike Cave. If Illus goes back in for left side swamp, then we've got 2 potential make or break decisions right here on each side.
And Illus is skipping that play.
Okay, so if it's there, then both runners are just going to literal last location it, no questions asked. But it's not Spike Cave. We'll see if the big red bomb has it. And I think shkoople's actually about to make that same play here.
Oh, yep. He was in his menu, so I was a little curious what was going on there.
Yeah. In my experience, quick swapping to an item that's far away from the one you're currently on is pretty hard to do while you're dashing and trying to think about the game. Maybe other people are better at it than I am, but I think hammer is pretty far from bow in the menu.
And Pyramid Fairy is not the answer.
Okay, so we've got somewhere between 1 and 2 items in Misery Mire that we can get to. We've got 4 items in Ice Palace, including the Green Pendant turn-in. We've got 1 item on the Landmolas. I think Illus is going for Graveyard Ledge and King's Tomb here.
I think he already checked King's Tomb earlier, but he was doing it from the Light World, so he wasn't able to do Graveyard Ledge at the same time.
Okay, good call. So it's just Graveyard Ledge for him here then, which we know is still not it. So which shkoople gonna choose? What's Illus going to choose? Shkoople is choosing the old man that he didn't save the second time on the mountain either. That'll give him the mushroom, which is just another time sink for him, but a small one. Illus is betting on vanilla.
I'm guessing Shkoople will make this same play after getting nothing from the old man chain here.
Yeah, I think in a race that's sort of reasonable. You bet on the best case scenario, and if you get it right and your opponent didn't, you've got a huge time edge over them. Especially compared to doing something like a hypothetically fully empty Ice Palace for nothing.
Right.
The numbers are really not in Mire's favor, though.
Yeah, that is true, because Ice is effectively 4 items right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible that, like, Cold Stare's holding a key, making the Green Pendant walk behind the Cane of Samaria logically, but that's not something you go into that dungeon betting on, I don't think, unless you're counting items and keys very closely.
Shkoople is making the Ice Palace play, so...
I like Shkoople's play more here. I know chat's big in favor of Illus just going to Mire and betting on vanilla, but the numbers favor Shkoople here, and I like that, even if it's not the best case scenario in a race.
Yeah, you really do hate doing Ice without being able to do Icebreaker, but... still a little bit more item dense to come here first.
Yeah, and sometimes the Cane's just in here. You can't help it.
Yep.
That compass in the first chest, though, probably means we're going to see a Shkoople bomb jump it.
Yep. There's our lamp.
And was that 2 items? No, the big key was on the left. That means the other one's a small key, right? Or does it not work? I know it works the other way around. I can't remember if it works that way, though.
Chat saying they hope it's left side swamp. Punish the left side skippers.
Our tracker's saying that bombs are on the big chest, so Illus got both items out of Mire, which, yes, explains the bail. And then Spike
The bridge chest.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Words. Yeah, I don't read, apparently, while I'm talking. I'm sorry. But we do know Illus isn't going to find it. Who knows if Shkoople's going to find it. If it's not in either of these spots, then we're down to Landmo's left side swamp. And I can't think of anything else.
No, I think that's about it.
Yeah, I've got to imagine that Shkoople bets on vanilla before going to either of those locations. Meanwhile, he's most of the way through Ice Palace at this point. Illus is going to join him in there. So yeah, this is close unless the cane is in here and Shkoople pulls it. And chat's saying we could pull the book and put it on a tablet, but
that is true. Ice Palace really trolling us with items here.
Yeah, it's really not a fun layout here. Any big key on the right side of Ice Palace layout when you can't Icebreaker is never going to be fun.
And there's go mode on Shkoople's side.
Yep, so now he doesn't quite get Godmire, but the big key is probably in the most commonly checked chest after the first two, that Northern Fire chest.
Yep.
So, should be in good shape here. I'm not going to have to do that much hunting.
So from here, it really just comes down to execution. Shkoople, even with still having to find that big key, I would say it's going to have a little bit of a lead.
Yeah, not so big of one that he can't lose it if he plays messy, but
right.
Definitely an advantage right now.
Chat pointing out, yeah, that Shkoople won't have that lamp, so we'll have to do the dark rooms in Mire, which will cost a little bit of time.
Yeah, we'll see how practiced and clean those are from him.
Fortunately, the only really difficult dark room in the Mire basement is that very first one, and there's quite a number of setups for that room to make it not quite free, but pretty close to it.
Yeah, as long as you're practiced with at least one of them and can execute on it, it's really not that bad. Chat's also trying to say lamp for the Ganon fight.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, no half magic, that can come into play.
I think with a potion in hand, it won't be too bad, especially with Tempered. Now, if it was Master Sword, it'd be quite a different story. Now, missing the torch glitch would be very unfortunate. And Illus getting that red cane. Save a little bit of time by checking that chest first.
Yeah, Shkoople did detour over to the Freezor chest first, and check the H room and the Vanilla Big Key chest before doubling back, so a bit of time save on Illus's side, and actually, they're going to be really close. Like, if Shkoople's dark rooms aren't clean, Illus might have the lead by the time they get to Vitreous. He doesn't have to look for a big key, where Shkoople just got his.
Yep.
So Illus is only, like, what, 3-4 rooms behind at this point?
Yep.
And again, those dark rooms, like you said, there are setups and strats for them. They're still not necessarily free. Since chat's asking about the lamp, just to recap, that was in the Misery Mire Big Chest, which Shkoople was otherwise in go mode and did not check, but Illus dipped this dungeon looking for Kane and found that instead.
Yeah, Shkoople was having a little bit of hard time getting the pot there.
Yeah, I think he's got it now, though, that he pushed that block a bit. Yes. But, oh no, he didn't have it. I thought he did. So now Illus, I think, is going to be out of this room first, just on the lamp. Because that cane block is not cooperating with Shkoople there.
It's unfortunate. I don't think Shkoople is stepping far enough to the right before throwing the cane block.
Yeah, and then on top of that, he's just getting pelted by these fireballs constantly and down to 4 hearts. While Illus is already through the dark and only 1 room away from the boss. Having to down that potion here really stings for shkoople.
There, he gets it.
Yep, he gets it, but Illus had a very clean fight using the damage boost spin strategy and then just 8 arrows into the big eye. The classic fight that everybody knows and loves from the vanilla game, and he's already got his 7 crystals.
So Illus is going to be on his way up to Ganon's tower. I'm surprised that we don't have just a flood of numbers being entered into chat yet.
I think they're starting to come.
There's a couple.
Yeah, okay, there we go.
There they go.
Yeah, just had to prompt them a little bit. They know what to do. There's a lot of chests in the basement of Ganon's tower. Chat can guess which one has the big key.
It's a number between 1 and 22.
Yep. And while we were getting that squared away, shkoople is out of the dark now. Gonna kill Vitreous, but Illus already most of the way up the mountain as shkoople is entering the fight. So, definitely some ground to make up on shkoople's side there. Now shkoople's on 7 crystals, Illus into the dark world. This is, what, maybe a minute behind at most?
Yeah, about a minute. We can time it for sure. At 1:20:09, Illus starts the opening cutscene. Although shkoople stopped in to get another potion, so...
Yeah, no reason not to replace the one you had to burn in Mire except for it being slow. And here we go. Hope room first for Illus. I'm assuming if he gets a small key in either of these 2 chests, he'll be off to the right side. Or
and we
not.
find a big key in chest number 2.
Yep. He does have to go down to the left side here. He's going to get a small key okay, off the torch. Was going to get the one off the pot, but torch one works just as well. And Arshak wins the guessing game. Congratulations. You get some internet points. They're worth something.
It's like 37 points.
Lots of people guessed. Lots of people had fun with it.
So we have the question, how jet was this seed? Not very jet.
Yeah, like Illus is probably going to come in here sub 130. Most of my count of that very friendly big key placement. But this seed devolved into a full-on single item hunt for the Cane of Samaria at the end. And even before that, we were just on hunts for the Fire Rod and Bombos as well. And I think shkoople looked to be about 1:45 behind once you factor in detouring to buy that potion, just based on the openings of Ganon's Tower there. Unfortunately, shkoople going for a Stalfos room, then he'll mirror and go to the right side, so-called Dark Magician route. not going to pay off for him because we know the key is in the Hope Room, so a bit unfortunate. Oh wait, he's killing these Stalfos. Is he just going full left?
Oh. Looks like a full left play, yeah.
Yeah, like there are some esoteric routes like Rando Room into full right, but I would be surprised if this were that. So, really unfortunate for shkoople here, which... It's rando, that's how it goes. You can't know where that key is, and you just gotta check all the chests you can and hope you find it. And sometimes the order you do it in will work, sometimes it won't. Meanwhile, Illus gonna light some torches here. There's nothing I think he would really check these last 4 chests for.
Yeah, only thing would be half magic, really, and with a potion in hand, you're not really too worried about finding that.
Yeah, and then the lamp on top of that means that the torch glitch is pretty free in the Ganon fight.
Yep. Shkoople is getting that mirror out, so you were right, it's Rando Room into full right.
Yeah, and that's not a route you see very often, and it's just, I think it feels pretty bad right now when the key is here in the Hope Room specifically. Yep.
I'm curious if shkoople normally takes that route, or if he was just kind of doing a little bit of metagaming here. Switching it up a little bit and just getting punished for doing so.
Yeah, good question. I've got no idea. We can see if he'll discuss that with us after the race is done. I think that's 2 singles for Illus so far on Magnitude.
Followed by a nice triple.
Yep, so should be done with it this phase here. Yeah. So one of the weirder 4-cycle Agatudes I've seen, but 4 cycles still definitely not bad. shkoople here on 2 hearts is going to take the refill room before the gauntlet, and
can't blame him.
Dashing right back in, not far enough right to bonk. Doors are funny in this game like that, they will suck you in.
And Illus entering his Ganon fight.
Got the Triton spin, took damage after that, but I think that's still 1 cycle. Yes. Now he's just going to get all the dashes here. Double spin while the fire bats are safe. And that's going to be the 1 cycle phase 2. Very nice.
Excellent fight so far from Illus.
And then swapping around to the lamp here, which he'll use to get the torch glitch after the 4th hit, and then just be off to the races with the spins. Well, shkoople made the gauntlet work for him pretty well there, into his land those 2 fight. Good 1 cycle there on shkoople's side. And here we go for Illus. Nice starting spin there, that's not easy to get at all.
Oh, and then immediately missing the next spin.
Yeah, that one's a bit unfortunate. But is set up for triples here. And even going to get a triple on this cycle. I don't think that positioning is super favorable, but it is definitely possible, as we just saw. I think it's just 2, maybe. Nope, just 1. So That's gaining down for Illus, and he's just got to cross the bridge.
Yeah, barring accidentally falling off the bridge, looks like we will have a win here by Illus. And looks like Illus is done with an official racetime.gg time of 1:27:42. We have a lot of GGs in chat for Illus.
Yep, and that will put him up 1-0 in the best of 3. Winner gets a match with the winner of Gamachu versus Bree, which I think Gamachu is up 1-0 in that, and they're playing game 2 today. Meanwhile, we are joined by Illus. GG, congratulations. Shkoople just killed Moldorm 2, about to enter Aga 2. So not going to be very long on his side either.
GG, thank you.
Yeah, GG.
So, interesting race here, really. You guys were really close finding that cane, and then you had the lamp, he didn't, and I think that was the most visible factor in things. No pun intended.
Yeah, lamp helps up a bit with Meyer and makes Ganon a bit safer and all that stuff. So I wasn't unhappy about having dipped Meyer beforehand, getting the lamp out, and yeah. I thought about doing Ice Palace earlier maybe, but yeah, I decided to play it a bit safer, since I think I'm more experienced at Rando than shkoople. I'm not exactly sure, but yeah, I decided to just check some locations I might have completely isolated otherwise.
Yeah, and I think that kind of worked out well just until the seed stalled out at the end. We do have Shkoople in his Ganon fight here real quick, getting the Triton spin, so I think he's in a good position to get 1-1. So this should be a pretty clean fight from him.
Yep, also doing the spin while the bats are out.
And getting a nice hit to start phase 3 off, so he should be done fairly shortly as long as he gets the torch glitch. Fire Rod torch glitch, not quite free, but a lot of people are still very good at it. And Shkoople now just gonna have to do some spins here and light this torch. Got it.
Gets the torch glitch, very nice.
Yep, and I think a triple here will put him halfway through. This position not really favorable, but he's going for it anyways and gets it. So yeah, very, very good Ganon fight from Shkoople here, cleaning it up in 4 triples, and I think only leaving the torch unlit for 1 warp, which is really good.
Yeah, that was a very clean fight. So everybody get your GGs in chat for Shkoople as well.
Yep, because he is across the bridge at the time of 1 hour, 31 minutes, and 34 seconds. So, GG's to him as well. I think he'll be joining us shortly. And then we can pick back up with Illus as well. Because I'm trying to just think back on this seed, and it was just a lot of... The dungeons really weren't paying out, especially in the early game. Although I guess really, aside from the cane being an Ice Palace, was there anything in dungeon at all?
I don't quite remember actually. The biggest stopper in the early to mid game was the flute on Catfish, which logically at least blocked out the mountain and the hookshot and stuff. So Yeah, that was kind of what blocked it, and you could see that, I don't know, Eastern Palace didn't have much, Port didn't have much. Yeah, basically dungeons weren't really great this time.
Yep. And we do have Shkoople with us. GG's.
Hey, GG.
Yeah.
Shkoople.
But I will say that it was, I think, the way that you guys got bottlenecked onto like the flute and then later the cane. It was a really close race headed into the end game. Like Shkoople, you had the Meyer big key before Illus was back into Meyer. It's just things went a little off the rails from there, unfortunately. But
Yeah, I
still.
haven't practiced Meyer Dark in a long time, so it went a bit poorly.
The other thing we were wondering, kind of fast forwarding a little bit to GT, was whether or not the routing that you chose was more of kind of like a metagame play, or if you normally do the left side straight to rando room and then do full right after that.
Normally I do Dark Magician, but there's no rhyme or reason to what I do. I just do things, man. I try to do it quickly.
You know, with Ganon's Tower routing especially, I respect that. Trying to route that place, like, the numbers say some things, but it's just a crapshoot.
Yeah, I just try to go fast and not look like I don't know what I'm doing too badly.
I think if it comes to Ganon's Tower, it's mostly about metagaming. Like, figure out what your opponent might be doing, and if you feel behind, do the opposite. If you feel ahead, do what you think the opponent was doing, kind of like that. And
Right.
yeah, that's how I see it, at least.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I guess I'm looking ahead on the schedule a bit. You guys have your next game same time tomorrow?
Yeah.
Yep.
Will game 3 be sometime tomorrow as well if it's needed, or do you know yet?
We haven't really talked about it.
Yeah, we haven't talked about it yet. There was a bit of an incident on Thursday.
Yeah.
So things have moved a little bit. I'm very sorry, by the way.
Obviously, that interferes with trying to get things scheduled. It's just
Yeah, we will see. I think like we originally planned this one, and if it's needed, we're gonna plan the next one after the race tomorrow, I think. Right? Right?
I could do. Actually, I can't do a doubleheader tomorrow, unfortunately. Unless we. Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to talk about it.
All right. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
So one interesting thing really early in the seed that we thought for a while was going to give Shkoople a pretty sizable advantage depending on what items were found when, was he actually scouted that hook shot, whereas Illus, you did not. So we knew for a while that Shkoople knew the hookshot location, and it was just a matter of, were we going to find the book or the flute first? And then, of course, you found the flute, went straight there, found the hookshot, and kind of that knowledge advantage was kind of lost.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I partially hate scouting. Like Lake Hylia Island, that location, Lumberjack. If it's not a real possibility, then I don't like running over there. It costs time, and yeah, most of the time after finding flute, I'm gonna go there anyway. So no real reason to.
And for me, it's another just I do whatever I feel like doing in the moment.
Yeah, that's fair.
yeah, it's one of those things. It
You're
takes
not
sometimes.
you're not making it easy on me to meta game, do you?
Oh, dude, don't metagame me. I'm chaos. I don't have a rhyme or reason to my rando play anymore.
I feel that quote very deeply.
Just go fast and hope you find stuff.
Yeah, I think someone in chat said a couple times something along the lines of no think, just go.
No think, only go.
Yeah.
That's my file name pretty much, so.
I respect it. I really do.
Same.
Anyways, I think we've covered the big points we wanted to talk about with this seed. And Jimbro, you got anything else you wanted to bring up?
I can think of the seed for the most part felt pretty straightforward. Like we said, it was a big overworld seed.
I want to say that Canaan Ice Palace is not my favorite location for that, but yeah, it happens. I thought about going in earlier, but yeah, I had things stuck in the back of my mind. But yeah, it's always a bit iffy to like see when do you want to go to the kind of high commitment location, which maybe has your go mode and maybe it doesn't, and yeah, it's tough on the decision making sometimes. At least we didn't get baited into TR. We talked about that as well. But yeah, maybe not next time. Canaan right side Ice Palace.
Yeah, that is one spot I thought. I was like, well, I think most people would go to Meyer here looking for the cane, but I'm just gonna pretend it's not there.
Makes sense.
Unfortunately, that cost me the lamp, but we may do.
Yeah, lamp being super deep in logic is always leads to some interesting things.
Yeah, we get that. 3 minutes in NMG. Just need the lamp, dude.
I think that will be it for us then. Looking ahead on the schedule today, we've got plenty of rando. We've got Sabotender versus Tiso at 5:30 p.m. Eastern, which is about an hour and 40 minutes from now. And we've got a few games in the evening too. We've got Scarlet versus Lumberjack at 6:40 p.m. Eastern, so about an hour after the previous game. Half an hour after that at 7:10 p.m. Eastern, we've got Gamachu versus Breve, the other match in this particular group. And then an hour after that at 8:10 p.m. Eastern, got Game 3 of Frostbite versus Will WC. So.
And for those of you that are up very early or are in Europe, at 4:10 a.m. Will be Humbug versus Locke on SpeedGaming 1. With another game right after that if the third game is needed in that matchup. So some very late night or morning rando depending on where you're located.
I might watch that.
It's about 12 and a half hours from now, so good times for some parts of the world. And some people may be asleep, but that's how time zones work, so. Chat's asking about that converting to GMT. I believe 9:10 GMT is correct. Do not quote me on that in case I'm wrong. It might be 8:10.
So yeah, plenty of rando coming up. Unless any of you guys have anything else to say, I guess we could start closing things out here.
Yeah, I want to say the usual. Thanks for volunteering to commentate, to track this race, to restream it. I'm glad we got another restream after what happened, and yeah, thank you so much, guys.
Hey, and thank you for you guys for putting on a really good race.
Yeah, GG, and thanks for the restream. I appreciate it. It's always fun.
Yeah, I do want to give shout outs to the tracker, Relkin, for doing a really good job keeping me corrected when I got things wrong and making things easy to talk about. But other than that, like, there wouldn't be restreams without runners, so you guys deserve all the credit in the world for that.
Yeah, and make sure you give the runners a follow. Looks like their Twitch channels are there in the chat, so you can link right to them and check them out. Give them a follow if you haven't already.
Yep. And I guess that'll pretty much do it for us. It's been a good one. Ninjembro, you have the last word if you want it.
Nope. Thanks for doing commentary with me, and we'll see you all next time.
Yep. Some other race, whenever next time happens to be. We'll see y'all later.